Okay. Namaskar. Very good afternoon to everyone. So we are meeting again for the next episode of our Ode to the Glorious Past. And in this, as you all know, we get to know more about our past presidents and how this organization, All India Women's Conference, has developed, has grown under them, has progressed, and is still, so doing so well. So today in this series, we are here to know about Professor Aparna Basu. She was the 36th president of AIWC, and she was the president from 2002 to 2004. And as we all gathered here, we know what a great personality she was. I mean, I would like to say I'm her student. Most of you know that. And I would like to call this as an era. This was an era which she created, and with her personality and her handling of affairs, which was so different from others. And with these few words, she was so famous. We are going to hear more about her work and her life from the family and friends who are gathered today to pay their respect. So before we start the program, I would request our president, Mrs. Sheila Kakade, to give her inaugural address, in which she also tells us more about, what this period was like. And
hello.
It's so interesting. Yeah, Sheila ji, we can hear you. Sheila ji?
Yes.
Over to you with your, maybe you have some PPT.
Yes. Just a minute. Can you see my PPT?
Yes.
Yes, we can see. Namaskar to all my dear sisters and guests who have joined in today's webinar, which will take us on virtual journey with our 36th President, Dr. Aparna Prahlad Basu, from 2004 to 2006. Today we have with us Noida Branch President, Mrs. Raksha Shukla, to give life sketch of Professor Aparna Basu. Shri Anup Taneja ji, he has given us a write-up. He may not be able to join, but we have another person who has worked with her, Mr. Hotchandani, and he will read out what Anup Taneja ji has written for her. Then we have Ms. Urvashi Butalia, Dr. Bidut Manti, Mr. Annamalai to throw light on Aparna ji's multifaceted personality. We have Srimati Tara Gandhi Bhattacharya ji's video recording, which we have done 2 days ago to share with you. We all are lucky to have with us Aparna ji's daughters Anuradha ji and her daughter Tara to share the personal family experiences. By chance, they have come just few days ago to India. And we have Priya ji joining from America in the early hours. I extend hearty welcome to you all on behalf of all our sisters across the country. For the benefit of our guests today, I take the opportunity to tell few lines about All India Women's Conference, which is now in the 95th year. Old national organization established by Kamala Devi Chattopadhyay, Margaret Cousins, Sarojini Naidu, Dr. Annie Besant. Maharani Kamalabai Chattopadhyay, second of Baroda, was the first president, and Kamala Devi Chattopadhyay was the first secretary. Now we have our head office at 6 Bhagwan Das Road, New Delhi. The education and position of women in British India needed a lot to be improved, and hence the formation of a community of women to work towards improving the status of women was the need of the hour. Chosen representatives of the conferences, organized all over India, attended a formal conference in Pune on 6 January 1927 and later in Delhi. Women and girls from all classes and creed were encouraged to avoid child or early marriage and to get formally educated. Women of stature such as the Viceroy of India, Lady Irwin, Vijayalakshmi Pandit, Rajkumari Amrit Kaur, Srimati Rameshwari Nehru, Lady Ramarao, Maharanis of Bhopal, Mandi and Travancore, Dr. Muthalakshmi Reddy, Hansa Mehta, to name a few, were the stalwarts of this illustrious organization. AIWC rose further along and gained consultative status of ECOSOC and other international bodies like International Alliance for Women, Pacific Southeast Asian Women's Association, REN, many institutions like the Lady Irwin College, New Delhi, Cancer Institute, Family Planning Association of India, Amrit Kaur Institute for Mentally Challenged are few among many other pioneered by AIWC, which are now autonomous bodies in India. All India Women's Conference also brought upon many legislative reforms in India, including the Universal Adult Franchise Hindu Code Bill, Maternity Benefits Act, Sharda Act, etc. AWC at its own level runs projects and programs implementing the Sustainable Development Goals. Regular creche programs are also run in the branches. Many branches are running primary schools, working women's hostels, short stay homes for distressed women are run in 10 branches. AWC head office runs working women's hostel and short stay home at Bapnugar at 6 Bhagwan Das Road and a short stay home at Vrindavan. We also run old age home for abandoned widows at Vrindavan since 1989. Our three trusts for education, health, and senior citizens run separate programs. To this. Awareness programs on communal harmony and peace offered by National Foundation for Communal Harmony are conducted throughout the country with AIWC's vast network of branches numbering around 500 and membership around a lakh. Other programs are health checkups, anemia programs, socio-economic programs, looking at the need of the hour, lot of awareness programs on gender sensitization, sexual harassment and legal awareness, environment and climate change, renewable energy, water and waste management are conducted on virtual platform during the pandemic. During the pandemic, our branch members spread all over the country, extended their helping hand to the needy in every form: food, medicines, sanitizers, oxygen cylinders, vaccination support, providing accommodation for medical doctors and paramedicals, etc. AIWC branches have provided counseling to the mentally disturbed in this COVID situation also. Under environment protection programs, our branches take up various programs. This is just a bird's view of our activities. Dr. Aparna Basu, our 36th president, had in her team Vice President Srimati Lalita Balkrishnan from Delhi, Dr. Sushila Shah from Chopra, Maharashtra, Srimati Veena Jain from Delhi, Dr. Dhairyabala Vora from Mumbai, Dr. Manorama Bawa, New Delhi, and Srimati Ranjit Chatta from Amritsar. Secretary General Srimati Gomti Nair from Kerala, and Joint Secretary was Dr. Lakshmi Gandhi. Honorary Treasurer Srimati Veena Kohli from New Delhi. I have some few pictures of Aparna ji which are clicked by me or by my camera. So they are my own personal collection. I would like to share with you all this. This one shows Aparna ji in Mumbai branch gathering. Aparna ji loved Mumbai more than Ahmedabad and Kolkata, where she belonged. She visited Mumbai branch often, and she was very lively and loving person and easily approachable. Here you can see two friends, Dr. Dhairyabala Vora, Mumbai branch president, and national president, Dr. Aparna Basu. Both were instrumental in giving me opportunity to work at head office for the first time as Western Zone A zonal organizer in 2002. I remain obliged and grateful always to both of them. This is once when Aparna ji visited our street children project in Mumbai. Here also seen Dhairyabala Ben and Aparna ji with the convener Kastur Manjrekar and Nivedita Seth, the secretary. This was the youngest child that time. This whole lot of children. You can see Aparna ji sitting over there, and our staff is also there. We can see Neela Tai, then Meera Kulkarni, treasurer that time, convener of the project, Kastur Manjrekar, secretary Nivedita Seth. Aparna ji had attended my zonal conference in Goa, lighting the lamp at the inauguration of my Western Zone conference in Goa is President Aparna ji. Seeing our patron Shobna ji, Secretary General Gomti ji, Mumbai branch President Dr. Dhairyabala Vora, Goa branch President Amol Moraskar, and myself. Blessing the Western Zone A conference, encouraging, guiding, and supporting me always in my journey in AIWC. This is with the Mumbai branch team. This with Indian ambassador in Singapore in Indian embassy. Aparna ji was instrumental in taking myself and Asha Deshpande to Singapore for Pasiva conference. Gomti ji was the secretary, was there with her at Pasiva conference in Singapore. Aparna ji is leading the Indian representation. Lovely moments we had that time, 4-5 days, wonderful days we spent together. This is Indian representation at Southeast Asia Women's Association Conference in Singapore 2004. Aparna ji encouraged Asha ji and me to attend the international conference for the first time, and also encouraged my daughter, Dr. Gauri, who was Singapore resident, to participate in the cultural program. We had got this flag from the Indian embassy that time, and that was because of Aparna ji we could approach the Indian embassy in Singapore. We were told to present our country with any act or song. We all of us couldn't say any song, but we said our national anthem. And see how enthusiastically all of us are singing that, and Gauri is holding the flag. She is dressed up like Bharat Mata. That was also Aparna ji's idea. Gomti ji, Aparna ji, and myself appreciating the plants in Singapore Botanical Garden. At Pondicherry, we were handing over the check for the tsunami relief fund. This is again at Pondicherry meeting with incoming president Dr. Manorama Bawa and outgoing president Aparna ji. Before I hand over to Yutika ji to move on, I very sincerely appreciate your patience and enthusiasm to be present always on time, to listen carefully to all our speakers in the series of Ode to the Glorious Past. Thank you very much for supporting this series of 40 episodes, which will have two more sessions on 17 June and 13 July 2022, paying tribute to Dr. Manorama Bawa and Srimati Gomti Nair for this term. I also appreciate enthusiasm and cooperation of all our speakers to participate in today's webinar. I sincerely thank our team consisting of Joint Secretary Supriya Balerao for taking initiative in preparing the beautiful invite right from the beginning. Thanks are due to our library team of Ranjana and Sujata for providing with necessary documents and pictures headed by Dr. Yutika Mishra ji. Member in charge, MCM Library, anchoring the shows perfectly, and technical support by Ritu and Pratibha, our program officers. Special thanks for Pratibha accompanying me to Madam Tara Gandhi Bhattacharyaji's house for doing video recording. Thank you very much, all of you, for doing an excellent job of supporting this series. Thank you all and wish you good health, happiness, and peace always. Yutika ji, please move forward.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah.
This is for opening the wide field of service to humanity through AIWC. I'm ever so grateful to Aparna ji.
Thank you, Sheila ji.
Thank you.
That was such a nice, nice lively pictures you have presented, and I'm sure some of the pictures are totally new to us, never seen.
Because they are for my personal album
collection. Yeah. So sweet. And I really like the Bharat Mata act all of you were doing.
that was totally Aparna ji's idea. I could just recollect seeing the picture.
See, the different facets of Professor Aparna Basu, whom I know as my teacher, my guru, and such an academician. And then I came to AIWC.
She would come with ideas like this, fatafat.
It was so good to see that. Thank you so much. Thank you. Now let's, a person, magnanimous, charming, affectionate, tireless worker, sharp memory, compassionate, a Gandhian. I mean, we can go on talking about her. We don't have now this whole dictionary and the synonyms, they'll fall short. We have so much to speak about her. So let's start with the formal program. And now we're going to hear the life sketch of Dr. Aparna Basu. This is going to be presented by Mrs. Raksha Shukla, and I still remember Raksha ji always accompanying her with, for these meetings in the AIWC because they belong to the same branch. Mrs. Raksha Shukla is currently president of AIWC Noida branch, where Professor Basu also belonged, and that was her branch. So over to you, Raksha ji. You are also a writer, a commentator. You review, and especially on Hindi. Your medium is Hindi. And I still remember we got your book and then we had a book club meeting. Oh, so it's so nice to have you, Raksha ji, in the program. And let's hear what you have to say about Aparna ji as a writer.
Thank you. Thank you, Yutika. Now the
little louder, Raksha ji. Little louder.
Let's have the PPT.
It's fine.
It hasn't come up yet.
Yeah, I think.
Can you hear that? Can you see that? Sorry.
Yeah, now it has come. It has come. Okay. Thank you, Yutika. Now to begin with, namaskar to all of you. And as I am beginning to speak about Dr. Aparna Basu, there's a very odd feeling to speak about her in the past tense. Because she was always there in Noida. So it's still very difficult for me to use the past tense. But yes, one has to take on the reality and move forward, whatever comes. So I'm going to start off with Aparna Basu. and her life sketch. So first of all, I'll say when I say she was born in 1931, I remember that once she told me that when she was a toddler, her grandmother, Vidya Gauri Neelkant, became the president. And this one went with her mother as a toddler to attend the inaugural. And that was very sweet of her, this memory. So I thought I'll just share this memory with all of you, because first of all, her first introduction was when she was just a toddler. And that was good for her as well as for AIWC. Very fortunate for both of them. I think so, not both, but for all of us, everybody. Now it is now the next one. Show the next one.
Yeah.
Now about Dr. Aparna Basu, as we all know, that he was a very noted historian, author, and a professor. He was PhD from the University of Cambridge, and she had published, co-authored, and edited over a dozen books spanning the history of education in India, biographies of Abbas Tyagi, Kasturba Gandhi, and Mridula Sarabhai. She was a pioneer in the genre of family history and had in the last decade become interested in the archival photography. Her pictorial history entitled Gandhi's Vision, Freedom and Beyond, was released posthumously in early 2019. I remember when she was writing this, she was very busy. And when she used to come, we used to have this literacy programs, meetings and all. But still she will attend that. She'll ask everybody to come. And then she'll say, I'm very busy writing this book these days, writing a book. Next. Now this is her about so many pictures when she was a new bride, when she got married. There is, we can see the couple, and there are so many pictures. Just is it quite big? Can you see all of, make out all of them?
Yes,
Yes,
we
just
can.
enlarge it a bit if you can. You can, okay. So you can all see it. Huh? Now we go to the next, and that is the books she has written. Okay, just see for some time. Okay, now this is Gandhi's Vision, Women's Struggle. We all know this is about All India Women's Conference and all the history of All India Women's Conference, which 2 editions have come up. And then essay in the history of Indian education. She was always, even AIWC is always been interested in women's education. And she was very much, very particular about women's education. And then this again, family history of Lalubhai Samaldas was, I think, a relative of hers. And then scientific communities and brain drain. I think there are some more down below. That's all. Then her achievements. Achievements, we all know that she's been the chairperson of National Gandhi Museum, where she used to have exhibitions and all. And I also remembered having been there for her exhibitions and other programs. And then trustee and patron of the All India Women's Conference, that we know. And in different, so many other, in so many other areas, she had taken the part which Sheilaji has just shown us. Active and supportive member of the editorial advisory board of CWDS, Indian Journal of Gender Studies. So this is her editorial, has always been very good. And then the editorial advisory board of this Indian Journal means Center for Women's Development Studies. And she was always interested in that. Vijay Mohanty comes from that. An enthusiastic contributor to its annual visual calendar. Yeah, now I know, I remember the visual calendar that was made by AIWC. there were such nice pictures. All of you must have seen it. You must have got it. I think Supriya Bhalerao had sort of published it. Thank you, Supriya. Governing body member of in the IP College, in the Press College, University of Delhi. Then chairperson of the All India Committee for the Eradication of Illiteracy. That, of course, I'll take it up a bit later also. Now, managing committee member of Sardar Patel Vidyalaya, Delhi. Trustees of the Sarabhai Foundation in Ahmedabad. I know she used to go to Ahmedabad quite often. So that was the thing that she had to do. Now, next. Next. Now, this is the picture of our family members. Anuradha will be able to introduce everyone. I can see Aparna ji and her husband, Dr. Prahlad Basu, and Anuradha, and I think maybe Anuradha's husband and all, they are there, but she will be able to tell you better. Now, this is a very nice tribute, I would say. Not tribute, actually, very nice message from her grandson. Tima, our grandmother who led on an extraordinary life. As we all know that we have just talked about, Sheila ji said, so let us see what's the extraordinary life was. So she was in the room on the eve of India's independence in 1947 for one of the country's most famous speeches, when the most famous speech was given. And that was Tryst with Destiny. So she was present there. She was one of just a few women from India who had studied in the University of Cambridge in the early 1950s. She met everyone. With her father was the ambassador in US. So she had met. So that's what he writes. She met everyone from President Eisenhower to Albert Einstein when her father was India's ambassador to the US. She rose up as an academic to become the head of the history department at the University of Delhi and led voluntary organizations such as the All India Women's Conference, chaired the National Gandhi Museum, and published over a dozen books on women's history and modern Indian history. Very sweet of a grandchild to say things like that about her, and very fortunate for both of them to have a grandchild and have a grandmother like that. Next. Next. Now, the words of wisdom. There's something very nice which I always like. In Dr. Basu's words, over the years, I have come to believe that, that qualities of mind are more important in life than doctrines, that feelings are more vital and formulas than formulas. In the ultimate analysis, what matters is how we behave and conduct ourselves, not what we profess and enunciate. Our children and students learn by observing what we do, not by what we say, by what we practice, not by what we preach. So we know that's how we see what her grandson writes and all. So it's all that it is with the practice. And that's why you have such good relationships with the generations to come. Thank you. Next one. Next, please.
Do you see it?
Yeah, next sheet. Yeah. Now this is, there was a very pleasant coincidence that in 2002, All India Women's Conference completed 75 years and Aparna Basu became the president. And that's how the Platinum Jubilee was celebrated when Aparna Basu was the president. And it was celebrated in Pune. Here is all of them Sushma Swaraj for Platinum Jubilee, as you can all see it. Yes, I think we have seen it. Bharti Ray appears to be here. Aparna Basu, Sushma Swaraj. Now, here's the book, this one, The Women's Struggle. Now, the second edition had come up just then. She had just finished writing the second edition. Because a few more chapters, say 1 or 2, she had to add. She was telling me that she's doing that before she became the president, that I have to complete this second edition, and she had to add whatever was left of me in the last few years. Yes. Now, this is all Dr. Aparna Basu, Bharti Ray, and Mrs. Sushma Swaraj. And I think this one is, this one, last one. Yeah, show that one. This one was, I don't think people can recognize. इससे पहले वाला दिखाइए. I would like to say, this one is the one who became governor of Goa. Just Mridula, this one. Yeah, this one is Mridula Samni. She is a Hindi writer and all. I know. Okay.
Mridula Sinha.
Mridula Sinha, yeah.
She was a Bihari.
Yeah.
From Muzaffarpur.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Sheilaji. Mridula Sinha. So her name is not there. I was just wondering. Okay, next. She had become the governor of Goa, and I think once from our writers group we had gone there, but I had to cancel that. I couldn't go. The writers group had gone because we had All India Women's Conference annual meet at that time in Delhi. Okay, next. Yes, Dr. Aparna Basu at MET Institute of Education. So many people used to call her for she was chairing some program in MET Institute of Education. Next. The Indian delegation with Social Welfare Minister of Thailand of Bangkok Symposium. Now, I remember this was Beijing +5 program in which I had also gone to Singapore, this Bangkok. And there we stayed for about 3-4 days and we had quite a few programs. Now this is one, and this is Indian delegation at the Asia Pacific NGO Symposium, where there were so many meetings, so many symposiums, and so many programs. Yes, next. This should come later. Yes, okay, this is a presentation of Dr. Sushila Nair Award. This is the last presentation of awards of All India Committee for Eradication of Illiteracy Among Women. She was the chairman, and we used to have a program every year. This one, Lakshmi Menon Memorial lecture, and then presentation of Sheila Nair Award. So this is the last program where the award is being given to Snigdha Nanda, who took the award for it's not very clear. Okay, and this Dr. Mishra, he gave the lecture of this Lakshmi Memorial lecture for literacy of women, and it was a very long lecture which came out in a published booklet, which was empowerment, literacy as empowerment of women. It's a tool of empowerment for someone. And here is this Rakesh Dhawan is giving the potted plant to the speaker and Dr. Aparna Basu. Here I am giving the vote of thanks. Okay, that's it. And this is the award. This is the citation. Okay, next. Now, Platinum Jubilee celebration. Now, this Platinum Jubilee celebration in this is
Delhi.
This is in Delhi, yes, not
Yes.
Pune. Pune,
No.
that is over. This is in Delhi. Sushma Swaraj again came, and Sheila Dikshit was also there. That must be in the next program. Yes, okay. And this is the Shobna ji, Shobna Ranade, and this I think is Dayalti Tripathi ji. Very small. Yes, okay, next one. Yes, again, now this is Platinum Jubilee Hall was inaugurated by Sheila Dikshit. That is also in 2003 when she was the president. And then she's, yes, Manorama Baba is there, Sheila Dikshit, and yes, next. It's the same, I think the same program. It's inauguration of Platinum Jubilee, and who all are there? Veena ji is there, Veena Kohli, Manorama Baba, and this one is Janaki. We can see all of her, so many. Okay, next. Platinum Jubilee goes on in Delhi. Aparna Basu with Ravi Shankar Prasad. So Manorama Baba and Aparna Basu, you can see all of them. And Gomati Nair is there. Kalavati Tripathi is also there. Okay, next. Oh, this is a very nice one. I like it. See the way the way he's looking at her. Very fondly, I should say. Appreciating her so much. Looks like it. Okay, next. This is a very interesting photograph. Dr. Aparna Basu and Sarojini Naidu's anniversary celebration. We used to have anniversary, even still we have anniversary celebrations. And at that time, I was in charge of all the, Dr. Sarojini Naidu's anniversary celebrations. So that year, when Aparna Basu became the president, and Veena Kohli ji was the treasurer, then we decided we will do something. Veena ji said, we'll do something, Raksha, just do something different this time. So I said, yes, we'll do that. Now so we discussed and all. And then we thought that we will have the Sarojini Naidu, Sarojini Naidu as president replayed in our library with all the people, all of us, means the people who were their members in charge, the team, and I see the staff and everybody joined. So here we can see, like somebody became Rajkumari Amrit Kaur and Vijayalakshmi Pandit. I remember one person from AIWC Noida branch had gone with me. She was Vidya Gauri Neelkant. She was very happy. And I think Veena Jain is there. So they all took, I just asked them, they said, yes, yes. And they were all very happy to join and take some part or the other. So we see Veena Jain, I think is like Rameshwari Nehru. I don't remember. Like there were quite a number of people, like and Asha Gambhir. They were all very happy to participate. Now the next. This is again very interesting here. She's, I think, Janaki is speaking, and I was the anchor. And this one is Bapnu Gati, Vimla Vora. Vimla Vora, and here there are some more people. It's very difficult to make out. But they are all very happy. And one thing is that this Vimla Vora became this Margaret Cousins. And she was really looking very nice. The photograph is not that good. Everyone appreciated her. And actually everyone appreciated everyone. The one, all of us who became something or other, means quite a few people. Now, next one, let us see. Now this is all of us that day itself. It's the same photograph where everybody is there, whoever was present, whoever saw, whoever took part, we are all. Okay, next. Now this is again, this has come back now. The Indian delegation with the Social Welfare Minister of Thailand in Bangkok. I think it's the same Beijing +5 exhibit, this meeting. This is and this is Pam Rajput and Aparna Basu and ये तो Asha Gambhir, हाँ. Yes. Next. This is the whole team. Here, Amareshwari can be seen. And first one at the back, that is me. I had also gone there. And we all enjoyed there. Yes, next. Closing ceremony. We all had to go on the stage and take part in the dance. Yes. Thanpuin Sumail and Social Welfare Minister of Thailand. Yes. That is again the same thing. And inauguration of Asia Pacific NGO Summit. We had quite a few meetings. We stayed there for about 4 or 5 days. Yes. Next. The Social Welfare Minister of Thailand and Bangkok at Bangkok Symposium. Again, it's the same thing. Pam Rajput. I think it's the repetition. Asian and Pacific Consultation Meeting 1994. This one is Aparna Basu, Shobna Tai, and this one is Sham Mohini Pathak. If people remember her, the next generation won't remember her, but Deenaji and all must be knowing. Yes, next. Awardees at Dr. Najma Heptullah, with Dr. Najma Heptullah and Dr. Aparna Basu at Pune. Must be the Platinum Jubilee itself. Yes, President AIWC addressing the world. Yeah, that I remember we had celebrated. There was a big celebration at one time for they had that everybody, people don't talk about menopause and all like that. So that was the first time something like that had come up, and they had started this World Menopause Day. Okay, next. Durban workshop, Dr. Aparna Basu, Dr. Kalavati Tripathi with Shobna. Yeah. We used to have workshops also outside, and even in Bangkok we had a workshop on, I think, yoga or something. Shahadra Kesh, Dr. Aparna Basu with Mrs. Beena Jain. Shahadra, we have been quite active in Shahadra. Where there was supposed to be a leprosy center at first, and the people living there, once you are an outcast, you always remain an outcast. So AIWC has been very active in getting them to be part of the society, to be mixed in the society, because this is leprosy is not considered to be, that they are not supposed to be treated as untouchables, right? Next. Poverty alleviation, sponsored by Indian Council of Social Science Research. I see. Yes, okay. We are also involved in everything, so many programs. AIWC at Pepsiwa, Singapore, May 2004. Yeah, I think it's the same thing, because they all had separate meetings, so many meetings at a time they used to. Ujjwal Women's, now this is Ujjwal Women's Association. Ujjwal Women's Association has been a very active branch and all, and I think quite a number of people belong to Ujjwal Association. So they always have very good programs and all. Okay, next. Next. Textile Center. Yeah, our textile center has been very good. And I think Janaki ji has been looking after it for quite a long time. And everyone who comes to AIWC is always taken to textile center, and that's a showpiece actually. And this one, Western Zonal Conference. Yes, she had to go to zonal conference and all. You can see that people always want her. Yes, next. Delegation with President Chandrika Kumaratunga. Yeah, IAW conference at Colombo. Yes. So we are active all over the world. Like they say, when the AIWC people go in international conferences, they are very well recognized by the dress they wear, the saris and all, and people say, yes, I remember you had come there also. So the people who go there, they always find it very strange that how do they remember them. Okay, next. Next, please. Yeah, celebration of birth centenary of Srimati Renukari and releasing the book My Reminiscences. Reminiscences, Srimati Leela Seth. All the people who's who used to come to AIWC. I think there was one in the middle. Oh, Akhil Bharti, yeah, Platinum Jubilee Samanvay Gram Pariyojana. Even in villages also we have been very active, and this is one of them where Platinum Jubilee also celebrated in the village. Social justice, yeah, that's something which women really need, social justice. And okay, next. Now now comes Noida. Now actually I want to clarify now that she wasn't from Noida branch, because she was there in AIWC for a long time, much longer time. Noida branch was very new. So she actually, because she lived in Noida, at first when Noida branch was opened, she was not in Noida. She was in Delhi. At that time, she was still serving there. She was teaching in Delhi University, and she was there. Then she shifted to Noida. But once she shifted to Noida, and even before that, she said, I'm going to shift Noida, Raksha. And I think when I went there, See, within a year or two, she shifted to Noida, and she used to come and she say, I'm going to shift I'm going to shift to Noida, and then I'll meet him. So, okay, once she shifted to Noida, she always used to come to Noida branch. Now, the first one, I want to explain the first one first, because that was the first program. Now, this is skill center, but we had no place anywhere. Somebody just gave us a small place to do something. And then, somebody gave us the sewing machines. And this is the first skill center inaugurated by Dr. Aparna Basu. She's trying to, stitch something. But this center didn't take off well at all. It was closed after some time. Okay, but this photo, I just got the hold of this photo and I really liked it. Asha Gambhir is there, Beena Jain is there. They're all looking such young girls. Okay, next. We always used to have like awareness programs. Initially we had a lot of awareness programs, and environment was one of them which we did every year. Now this is at first when we started, Aparna Basu was not there, so Mrs. Baba used to come. Now once when Mrs. Basu came, so somebody introduced her as Mrs. Baba. So I said, I'm sorry, that. Then she said, doesn't matter. She started laughing. She says, it's all right. Now, this is the time when we talked about medicinal plant. और वो जो आप युतिया जी कह रही थी कि हिंदी में. So this is Air Vice Marshal Tiwari, Vishwa Mohan Tiwari. Now, he was very keen on Hindi. Always spoke in Hindi. And he's written books in Hindi. An environmentalist है वो, मतलब अपने birds के ऊपर, जंगली चिड़ियों के ऊपर उन्होंने एक पूरी किताब लिखी है. तो अच्छा, इनको हमने बुलाया था, और Aparna Basu is there, and then this is our treasurer, and this one was our general secretary, and I am here. Now, what happened is that because he was speaking in Hindi, everyone was speaking in Hindi. Now, I told Dr. Basu, you can speak in English. But no, she spoke in Hindi. और हिंदी उनकी इतनी अच्छी, बहुत अच्छी शुद्ध हिंदी में बोली. We were so surprised that all the time she spoke in Hindi और बहुत अच्छे से उन्होंने हिंदी में बोला. And that day when I first realized it, she knows so many languages, Gujarati, Bengali, Hindi, and then English, of course, like her mother tongue. Okay, next. Now, this is during the last few years. She always used to come. She said, Raksha, whenever you have anything, and she would always join. She says, okay, she'll postpone something, but she'll always come to our program in Noida. So that's why, there was such an association. People think that, and I'm very happy that people are thinking that she's from Noida branch. And thank you everybody for thinking that, because that shows how attached she was. So whatever you can see is the truth, and that's it. Okay, here this one, this was the program. Okay, this was the program when National Institute, V.V. Giri National Labour Institute, and this one is. This one is from National Labour Institute. I see.
Raksha ji, can we?
कोई बात नहीं. She's from National Labour. I'm very much interested.
Can we end this now? You can quickly.
She was working for Panchayati Raj and all, and then child labor, elimination of child labor. And this one is our lawyer. So they are all there.
रक्षा जी थोड़ा सा जल्दी कर लो।
हाँ
बस खत्म है,
अभी हो
almost.
गया
It's almost
Okay.
over. हाँ.
Okay,
अब
thank
next, हाँ इसमें. Now this is the last one. Okay. Now this is you, as you all see, this is the memorial branch we did, and this is our Kamal Gill, who is no more. And it was nice of Anuradha to come, and Dr. Prahlad Basu had also come. And then we had this ceremony of paying tributes. Okay, next. I think this is the last. Okay, next, please. Now this, till the last moment. Okay, इससे पहले वाला दिखाइए. Till the last moment, she was writing the book when she was in ICU. She called Anup Taneja, and you will see when he speaks, you will listen to him, that she was talking about the book. Okay, now last, वो वाला दिखा दीजिए, please. I just want to.
that was the last one.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
No, इससे पहले
Thank
वाला.
you.
वो नहीं जहाँ रिटर्न है ना वो देखना चाहते। हाँ ये वाला।
हाँ ठीक है
वो
यही
written
ना
वाला है ना. That's very good. That's very good. I want to read it out. Then she loved books so much. She wrote and she read and everything. That's why somebody who likes to read also read so much has to be a writer. My greatest source of joy and happiness, apart from my being with my family, are books. I don't think I could live without reading. I grew up in a home surrounded by books, and my parents were very fond of reading. My interests are wide and eclectic, and I like reading fiction, poetry, biographies, autobiographies, history, philosophy, and political theory, sociology. I feel that if you stop learning, you stop growing. Now, the last one.
Thank you, Raksha ji. Thank you
Thank
so much. Thank you for that nice presentation. Such a
Thank you.
she was such a she had varied interests, we all can see, and excelled in every field which she took up. So interesting. Thank you again, Raksha ji.
Thank you.
Now let's proceed with the next. Just a small request to all the speakers, please take care of the time because time is less and we have to finish by 4:30. Now we have a famous author, the Indian feminist writer, publisher, activist, and co-founder of Kali for Women, which was India's first feminist publishing house, Mrs. Urvashi Bhutalia. Are you there, ma'am? We in the university, yeah, we can see you. In the university, in the academia, we all know you. We have your books in the syllabus on partition, on colonial India. It's a pleasure to have you with us. And you're going to speak about Professor Aparna Basu as the writer. I'll just briefly introduce you to the author, although, as I said, you're so well known. You are known for your work in the women's movement of India. As well as for authoring books like The Other Side of Silence, Voices from the Partition of India, and Speaking Peace, Women's Voices from Kashmir. These are just a few of the many that you have written. Along with Mrs. Ritu Menon, you co-founded Kali for Women, and then you founded Zuban Books, which was an imprint of Kali for Women. Then you are basically an alumni of Delhi University. You've done your master's and graduation from there, and then did your South Asian Studies master's degree from the University of London. And then you have varied interests in publishing and in the academic field. As I said, you are known so well. So over to you, ma'am, for your piece on Aparna ji as a writer.
Thank you so much, Yutika ji. Thank you, Sheila ji. Thank you, Raksha ji, for asking me to speak here on the life of the remarkable woman that Dr. Aparna Basu was. Many of us knew her as Aparna Di. So when Raksha ji asked me to speak, I was initially a bit hesitant because I thought I wasn't particularly qualified to speak since I didn't know Aparna Di that well. But then I realized actually that when you meet someone like Aparna Basu, who has such a wide and huge and deep range of interests and accomplishments, it's really unlikely that one person will know all of her achievements and interest areas. I mean, all of you have said the many things that she was: the historian, the writer, the feminist, the educationist, the institution builder, the editor, the photography lover, and so much more. So I'm not going to go into any of that. I'm just going to speak about a couple of things that were particular for me in relation to Aparna Di, about whom we are talking today. Initially, I knew her as a historian that I respected, and a historian who surprised us who were at university at the time by writing on a subject that historians didn't write much about, which was the early histories of education. And as somebody who was developing an interest in publishing and writing and the systems of production and dissemination, I found her work very, very interesting. Then I got to know her more as a feminist and an institution builder, in particular her relationship with the AIWC. And here, what I want to say is, that feminists of my generation, who are the generation really after Aparna Di's, as often happens, the generational differences are always there, and they make, they're there in the way you think, and they lead to a kind of dismissal and disrespect by younger feminists of the older feminists. It's what my generation of feminists is facing today from younger feminists, but I know that we were a bit like this with the feminist generation of Aparna Di and my mother's generation as well. And yet, it's so important to acknowledge the work that they did, particularly in building institutions. And here I want to tell you a story that in addition to my publishing, I also do some teaching at a number of private universities in India. And in one of these, I teach a course on the history of the women's movement and feminism in India. And when I first started, I asked my students which of the courses they were doing did they really enjoy. And they mentioned one course called Makers of Modern India, which was structured around the lives of 12 people who were seen as the makers of modern India. And I asked them my predictable question, how many of those people are women? And of course, the answer you can all guess at, it was 0. And so I decided to counter that by introducing in my course a session called Makers of Modern India 2. And I put together a list of initially 20, then 30, then 40 women who were all involved in one way or another in the making of modern India. And you'll be happy to know that so many of those were women from AIWC, including Kamla Devi ji, including Sarojini Naidu, including so many others. And we are going to build a newer generation of those, in which I hope to include many more. Then I want to just add that I got to know Aparna Di a bit more when she was writing her biography of Mridula Sarabhai, which I think is a pretty amazing book. And must have been really hard to write because, of course, not many people had access to the Sarabhai family for getting the papers that were necessary to reconstruct the life of this woman. And Aparna Di managed to do that, which was one of her skills, convincing people to part with valuable information. And one day, in the middle of this exercise, she called me and she said to me, I have something I'd like to show you, and I think you should publish. And she came over and she brought with her a wonderful handmade book of photographs of Mridula Sarabhai, Gandhi, and the frontier Gandhi in Noakhali, post-partition, and in Bengal, working together to quell the violence of partition. It was an archivist's dream, that book. And she had a print copy of it, which she had put together with somebody's help and which she was now trying to persuade the Sarabhai family to have published. So she left this with me, and together with her and with a friend called Salima Tayyab ji, who was helping her to edit various books, we tried very hard to get the family to give us permission, but we didn't succeed. And I still have that book with me. And when Raksha ji asked me to speak, I was reminded of it, and I hunted it out and looked at it and remembered how Aparna Di had been so instrumental in helping with that. So that too was her, an extremely generous woman, apart from being knowledgeable. And I just want to end by saying that, for somebody who passes away at the age of 87, after having lived a completely full life, and you still feel that she had so much more to give to the world, it is truly remarkable. And she was a truly remarkable woman. And yours is a truly remarkable organization to have housed such a woman and many more like her. Thank you so much for listening to me.
Thank you. Thank you. It was nice, Urvashi ji, to
Very
hear you out.
in short, huh?
And,
Thank you so
Aparna ji,
much.
who did not know, you didn't know much, but then you have kept an account, and it was very interesting to know that, your work is so interesting, and we are really, really grateful for you. I mean, you to come here and speak
Thank you.
for our audience.
Thank you so much, Urvashi ji. It was so interesting, and I'm sure I'm going to ask you borrow the makers of Modern India 2 from you because I also teach it.
You're very welcome.
True.
And I'm sure our great ladies are figured there. And indeed, as you said, the students don't know. This generation has to know, and we are trying our best. Still, we need to hammer it in so many ways, So we are there in it together in the same boat. Thank you so much again. Now we go to our next speaker. Actually, this is a piece by Sri Anup Taneja. He's a freelance writer, editor, and columnist of Times of India, who writes the column Speaking Tree in the Times of India. His piece is, he's written about Professor Aparna Basu, and the piece is titled A Lady with a Golden Heart, but somehow he's not here. So Mr. Hochandani from AIWC is with us, and he is going to read that out. And Mr. Hochandani then also will pay his own tribute. He is the coordinator of the 3 trusts at AIWC and has various other occupations. So I would request you to maybe briefly introduce yourself also, what your other occupations are, and read out the piece by Sri Anup Taneja ji. You are muted, sir.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, perfect.
Good afternoon. I am Hochandani. Recently, I am working with the 3 trusts of AIWC here. Before that, I have a finance background. I was working with the Ministry of Commerce. After working there for a few years, I joined public sector, State Trading Corporation of India. Then on taking my VRS, I just joined AIWC work here. This is my brief, this thing, And I would not like to read out the message of Dr. Anup Taneja, who was associated with Madam Aparna Basu. This is the title is The Lady with a Golden Heart. The day was 27th November 2018 when I received a message from the late Aparna Basu on WhatsApp from Escorts Hospital in Southeast Delhi. She informed that she had been admitted to the hospital because of severe chest congestion and that she wanted me to visit her in the hospital on an urgent basis. The very next day, that is 28th of November 2018, I went to meet her in the hospital. Though she was weak, yet she was in high spirits. She was excited about the publication of her forthcoming book on Gandhi. She also told me that her grandson was to get married in December 2018 and that I should not wait for a formal invitation to attend the marriage party. She further told me that she might be discharged from the hospital in the next 2-3 days. I was with her in the hospital for about an hour. Then on the night of 3rd December 2018, I got a call from AIWC informing me about the sudden demise of Professor Aparna Basu. This news took me by shock as she was recovering quite well and no one would imagine that her health would deteriorate all of a sudden. Professor Basu's passing marked the end of an era of scholars, historians who were not only scholars of great erudition, but also scholars who were immensely popular among the fraternity of students and karamcharis of the university and AIWC. Her magnanimous approach won the hearts of all her associates, as she never let go an opportunity to help people around her. She was particularly charitable towards those karamcharis who were financially weak and did everything possible to help them. Coming to my personal association with Professor Basu, I may mention that I first met her in the year 1998 in AIWC in connection with publication of a book on gender studies, which was to be sponsored by ICHR. She was very kindly accorded her consent to edit the book, which was published in 2002 by ICHR under the title Breaking Out of Invisibility, Women in Indian History. Since I collaborated with Professor Basu in the editing of this book, it gave me a good opportunity to interact with a scholar of Professor Basu's erudition and stature and gain invaluable experience in the process. It was at the suggestion of Professor Basu that I decided to do in-depth research on the theme Gandhi, Women and the National Movement 1920-47. During the course of doing this work, Professor Basu helped me in every possible and provided me a whole lot of source material, both published and unpublished, which helped me a lot in doing my research work. She read all the chapters word by word and made sure that no important point was omitted. This book was published in 2004, and yet again, Professor Basu helped me in getting the book release function organized at the AIWC premises on 4th November 2004. The book was released by the late Professor Bimal Prasad, while Professor Basu was the guest of honor. Some photographs of this function are being shared. I take this opportunity to express my heartfelt thanks to late Professor Basu for all the help and support given by her, which gave a big boost to my career. Being the very epitome of magnanimity and positive spirit, young scholars can take a leaf out of her book and mold their lives accordingly. The best thing that youngsters can learn from her life is that life is not merely about becoming a great scholar by writing lots of books. It is much more than that. It is more about becoming a noble and virtuous human. This message ends here. Now, Mrs. Sheila Kakle has been very kind enough to give me a 2-minute slot to just say a few words, because I also worked with Dr. Aparna Basu while she was heading the Education Trust. I feel blessed today that I got an opportunity to read out this message of tributes to Dr. Aparna Basu, penned by Dr. Anup Taneja. I had the opportunity to work for nearly 6 years with Dr. Aparna Basu, who was then heading the AIWC Education Trust. All I can say that working with this iconic personality was a great learning experience. The two things that I imbibe from her are: one, finer points of personality development; two, how to be a good human being. Dr. Basu was a virtuous woman and is in my thoughts almost every day. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. Thank you for those nice words of homage. And it was so nice to hear Shri Anup Tanejaji's piece also. I still remember he was there in ICHR, and then he used to come to the library and was there in the AIWC working, where Professor Basu put him was to do some work. So it was so good to hear. And these tributes, as you can all see, are coming straight from the heart. Now, we have a very close friend with us, very close friend of Professor Aparna Basu, Dr. Vidyut Mohanty. And I think everyone in AIWC knows you, ma'am. You have been with us, been coming. I still remember your book club presentation. You spoke about your book also. Dr. Vidyut Mohanty is a feminist, economist, and she now currently heads the Women's Studies Unit at the Institute of Social Sciences at New Delhi. You have written several books and you are a member of several organizations. I mean, you have been a visiting professor in the University of California at Santa Barbara, and as a fellow of the Center for Global and International Studies at the same university. You have been the coordinator of ISS and UNDP project on capacity building of elected women leaders in India.
That's
and have done a project sponsored by the National Commission on Protection of Child Rights. You have also coordinated projects on HIV and AIDS and role of Panchayati Raj. So this is you have a long list of your work here. You also are specialist on famine, agrarian history, and decentralization studies with a focus on gender, culture, and development. You combine, the best part is that you combine activism with participatory research. That's the best part I like about your work. Thank you so much for being with us today. Over to you, ma'am. You're going to speak about Professor Basu as a friend.
Actually, I must tell you that I am indebted to Aparna Di in many, many ways. You know, she was the one who recruited me to AIWC. That is one. Secondly, as a young scholar, she encouraged me to write about Panchayati Raj, and she has included one of my articles in her book. Secondly, she also facilitated me to go to a Fourth World Women's Congress, which took place in Beijing, and I was a speaker on Panchayati Raj. She has written many, many articles and books. So I will narrate only a couple of those. The most famous book is the education history of India. Secondly, the history of Delhi University, and she has also written about Mallika Sarabhai. These are, and she is very sweet. As somebody pointed out, she has written many, she has a golden heart, and she would come to you and she would encourage you. She sat down with me and corrected my article and included in Bharati Rai and Aparna Basu's book, which I still cherish, and the Professor Sen has signed in that. I just am holding that book to my chest. So it was a great loss that I have lost such a close friend. And she would always say, Vidut, come over. We must have a feast. And we used to go, both myself and my husband, we used to go to her place and eat, lot of Gujarati and Bengali dishes. You know that her husband was Bengali, and so they used to cook both Gujarati food as well as Bengali food. We really miss her, and I hope she's still. I sometimes dream about her, that she's still with me and she's encouraging me to write more. You will be surprised to see that I have written a book called Lakshmi the Rebel. That's because she encouraged me. She gave me lots of input on Lakshmi. Now, the Lakshmi the Rebel is still lying with me. With that, I must stop. And, I pray that such noble soul will, will take birth again and again and be with us. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. That was such a touching tribute, and I share your sentiment about how she brought you to AIWC. She also brought me to AIWC, so there we share, and so many of us, I think, agree with that. Now we have a small piece. It's a video clip by Mrs. Tara Gandhi. She's the chairperson, National Gandhi Museum and Library. She's going to talk about Professor Aparna Basu as she knew her. Mrs. Tara Gandhi Bhattacharya was born in New Delhi and has held the position of vice chairperson of the Gandhi Smriti and Darshan Samiti for so many years, almost 10 years now. Gandhi Smriti is the site of the martyrdom of Mahatma Gandhi for truth and non-violence, and she is also involved. We all know the place there in Delhi. She's also involved with the Save the Ganga movement, an initiative to protect India's environment and rivers for the last 18 years. For the past 28 years, she has worked for the Kasturba Gandhi National Memorial Trust also, and this was founded by Mahatma Gandhi in memory of his wife. The KGNMT, as it is known, is one of the oldest pre-independence non-government institutions serving the women and children of rural India. And she has been decorated with one of France's top honor, l'Ordre d'Art des Lettres, for her contribution in promoting peace, solidarity, culture, education, and development. So I'm going to play this piece for you. Can you just
problem, Yutika? Shall I play?
I think it's better. Yeah, it's somewhere gone. Yeah, please play.
I'll play.
That will save time here. We can't hear. The volume, Supri?
It's just a second.
It's the other video that came today. You know?
Yeah, this is just 1 minute.
अच्छा recording के लिए म्यूट कर दो
Can you hear?
Can
you hear, Yutika?
No.
Not
No.
at all?
No.
बता दो इधर से ही बता दो
सुप्रिया मैम
हाँ या
प्रतिभा दिस साइड जब आप शेयर करते हैं ना वीडियो तो
हाँ.
एक आइकन आता है वेबएक्स में राइट हैंड साइड में वॉल्यूम
Okay.
का उसको
हाँ.
आपको ऑन करना पड़ेगा तब आएगा इसका साउंड
अच्छा अच्छा
जब आप शेयर
मैंने वो
करते
किया
तभी
था लास्ट टाइम करेक्ट
राइट हैंड साइड या ऊपर कहीं पे आता है
या आई
हाँ.
रिमेम्बर यू हैड टोल्ड ठीक है शीला जी हाँ वो बात होगी मैंने कहा आपको कुछ बता दूंगा दोनों ही लेंगे वो अगर जरूरत है तो मैंने कहा
You can mute yourself, Sheila ji. Mute. Thank you.
कहाँ पर किया
मेरे इस पर है डेस्कटॉप पे
मैं करूँ क्या शेयर एक मिनट
इसको बंद कर
तक मुझे दिखा
आ गया
So neither here
yeah we can you can see it.
and here also. No.
Shall I share?
Supriya, we are sharing.
Okay.
Okay.
Please do. Are you sharing, Sheila ji? Yeah.
Sheila Kakreji is in front of me, and on behalf of the All India Women's Conference, she wants me to say something about.
Have you shared it?
Who was the 36th
Can you hear?
president of the.
Yeah, it's audible, ma'am.
Oh, thanks.
It really is a very emotional moment. For one thing, to be talking about that all All India Women's Conference did something. It's a very prestigious institution, pre-independence, formed in 1927 by very prominent figures of India and the world that time. And then from then on, it has had about so many presidents. And Aparna Basu was the 36th president. I have something about, I don't know much about numerology, but I'm just interested in the number 9. So when I read 36, it was 3 plus 6, 9. So I think it was a very auspicious number when she became the president. And she, I believe, was for 3 years the president. Yes. And when suddenly I was asked to speak about Aparna Ben, was the fact that she was full of affection. And I realized always that she was intellectual. We used to meet often in the airports and in the aeroplane also. And she always used to say, oh, I'm going to Gujarat, to Ahmedabad, because I must finish an article, I must finish a book on so-and-so subject. After that, we will meet. And we said a few things in Bengali, a few things in Gujarati. But what brought us together, to me, to Aparna Ben, who was so affectionate, I don't know how she felt, but I felt this, we are two Gujarati women married to Bengalis. So that was a common thing. And very common, in fact. And so when I heard about her passing away also, there was a deep sorrow in me. And I felt really very bad because I didn't know how to, what to say to anyone. And this is very significant because there are very few people who, when they go, they immediately think of either writing to some members of the family or getting in touch with some members of the family. With Aparna Ben, it just stopped there, me and her. Then I realized that her husband was such a nice person. So when I heard about that, it was really, I'm saying that she is among the very special people for me, with whom I connect just myself and not any family matter. These are the little things, and I was always taken by her affection for me. And as I am not an intellectual, so probably when I say this doesn't sound good, but the intellectuals that I have met so far in India, they are a little heavy. You feel sort of, again, I'm sorry to say, maybe there are more men like that than women, but women also. But they are heavy and you feel you don't know what to say to them. And they are sort of heavy with their work and with their intellect and all that. So people like me who are very limited in their subject, I feel really short of words and short of conversation with them. I always get in awe of intellectuals. But then probably, well, that's a different story. But Aparna Ben really was never heavy. I mean, just imagine, I've been reading about her, and thanks to all of you, that now I know about her so much. She wrote so many books. And what a lovely life that she went to America when her father was an ambassador there. Yes. And met even Eisenhower and Eisenhower's wife, and also, I believe, Albert Einstein during her stay there. And she met so many people and she lived through history. Now we have very few people like that. I wish she was here and I wish I had the brains one day to have had a conversation with her and have it recorded also, that I could have spoken about many distinguished people probably, and there are very few people probably living today of my age who have seen those people and talked about them. I think I heard from my daughter Sukanya, who had worked with her, and said, Ma, I can't tell you that Aparna Ben is so sweet to me. And she is not at all a heavy person or a heavy boss. She brought me in the in the board of members of the Gandhi Sangrahalaya. And she's such a great person to work with, and I'm learning so much. She used to have beautiful exhibitions in the Sangrahalaya and get-togethers. And there was, I would repeat, no arrogance about her. But after she died, I came to know her family. Her husband, I had seen her daughters and grandchildren. They were as humble as she was.
Yes. Yes.
And they were all so sweet. There was no arrogance about them. So if you want me to describe Aparna Ben, one can say she was a scholar, she was of that generation. She's held so many positions. The writer. But above all, I would say that she had with her a fearlessness, which I had observed in Dr. Sushila Bai, which I had observed in Ashoka Gupta, who was also a chairperson of the All India Women's Conference. That fearlessness of being yourself. She was a great writer, a great person, but she was herself. There were no mask on her. And I never heard her complain about anyone. I wish really I lost very important moments. Now when I think of her and when I read about her, because I could sense the profound humanity in her. Compassion and a sense of attachment and respect. Respect for Gandhi.
Yes.
Respect for the philosophy of Gandhi. And respect for Kasturba. But I did not look beyond that. Or I did not look deeply enough. I wish I had done that, so my loss. But I pay my homage to Aparna Ben, to her family, and I really wish them the best. I wish them all that Aparna Ben had wished for them. And also at the same time, I take this opportunity to wish the AIWC the very best in future, because as I see a very young chairperson in front of me and very devoted workers, that it has now a big work, big challenge, like Aparna Ben's probably one of her titles was from independence to freedom, or from freedom to struggle of women. So I think this should go on now, from the political liberation of India to the Sarvodaya. I think this is a great challenge before all of us, and especially for the prestigious institution of All India Women's Conference. I take this opportunity also to pay my homage to the founders of this institution. Thank you very much for including me in this program.
Our pleasure, madam. Our pleasure that you have given so much time for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Supriya. Thank you.
It was wonderful.
Yeah, indeed. And as I can see, it goes in favor of AIWC to have such great personalities who take it up. It's these personalities who have made AIWC what it is today. Indeed, we are grateful to each and every president. So next speaker for today would be Mr. Annamalai. I'm sorry, sir, you've been sitting since 2:15, I could see, and you've been very patiently waiting for your turn. Thank you for that. You're going to speak about Dr. Aparna Basu as a Gandhian. Mr. Annamalai is the director of National Gandhi Museum and Library at New Delhi, and has done vast variety. Your studies are like your BSc, MSc include chemistry, economics, Gandhian thought, religious dialogue, wide variety of your academic training is there. Your current position includes, as I said, the director of the Gandhi Museum and also the vice chairman of the Center Gandhi Smarak Nidhi, New Delhi, the trustees of the group. You're also the honorary director of Gandhi Study Center, Chennai, Tamil Nadu, and you're a member of several committees like Gandhi Memorial Museum in Madurai. Then you are also in treasurer in Chennai Chakkar Bapa Vidyalaya Samiti, also a member of Vardha Magan Sangrahalaya, Tamil Nadu Gandhi Smarak Nidhi also. So you hold various positions. You have presented papers in the national and international seminars and organized camps for youth about Gandhi. And the best part about your CV that I liked is that you discontinued your study, your PhD, and left the university to continue Gandhian activities. That is so endearing. And you've organized and curated exhibitions on various themes concerning Gandhi. So we welcome you to this webinar, sir. Over to you for your views and your thoughts.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the kind words. And we at the National Gandhi Museum are very much missing Aparna Basu. We worked together for at least 5 years, from 2013 to 2018. And I was so happy with her attitude. And he has given a space for me to work very, very peacefully. That is very, very important for any organization. And I never felt that I am sitting in a hot seat because she has given that ease to work. Therefore, I was very happy during this period. And our output at the Gandhi Museum was so high during that period. And she was very, very, everybody knows, very generous in appreciating the people. That is very much needed. That is the best quality of Aparna Didi. And once when she was met an accident and she was putting in a wheelchair, so she can't move at that time. So everywhere she has to move, even inside the house, she has to move in the wheelchair. So I was there in her house, and she was. I was waiting, but they were discussing inside the room in her bedroom, and it was a very heated argument. Then she asked me to come in, and I also went inside. And she said, "See, Banamalaji, you see my position, and now I have to go everywhere in the wheelchair and even to the bathroom. And my wheelchair not entering into the bathroom. Now the carpenter is asking 10,000 rupees, 20,000 rupees. What can I do?" And we asked the carpenter. Now he said there are 2 doors in their bathroom. So the first bathroom he had to remove all the doors, and he said again the second door also should be modern. So again he is asking 10,000 rupees. How much I have to spend? Like that, she's. No, I said, please, cool. What is the problem? Then she said, no, this wheelchair didn't enter into the bathroom. Then I watched that wheelchair. And the wheelchair wheel was outside the thing. Then I said, this is the problem. So you put this wheel on the inside of the 4 corner. But so I asked the carpenter to remove the wheel and put it inside. And it was peacefully get inside the bathroom. That's all. It's a matter of 2 minutes job without any expenditure. She was so relieved, so happy. And she called everybody, including Anuradha and others. You see, Annamalai did a very good miracle. He saved 30,000 rupees. So happy. So she is like a child. I have seen her not as a professor. Yes, she is a very intellectual. I know her capacity. But she never dominates with her intellectual capacity. That is the greatness. Many people, though we have the capacity, we put forward our intellectual capacity on the front. But she never. For her, relationship is more important. That is basically a Gandhian in character. So she asked questions which even child cannot ask. But she was very she was very fond of learning things. Even at the age of 87, at the last minute, we have organized so many exhibitions. The last two exhibitions that came as a book, Gandhi's Vision, Freedom and Beyond. That I myself and Aparna Didi both curated this exhibition. And the second one is Gandhi's Satyagraha. Women in Gandhi's Satyagraha. Because I have seen a lot of photographs, unpublished photographs of 1930s to 1940s. There are so many women forces in front of the freedom struggle. That has to be brought in light. Therefore, I thought I should have an exhibition on Gandhi's women in Gandhi's freedom movement. So immediately she agreed and she said, no, we will do it and we will publish as a book. And the publication division published that book. The very interesting thing which taken very close to Aparna Didi was my own interest. See, my Yaki Chettiar has taken a movie, Mahatma Gandhi, the 20th century prophet. Almost it was lost and nowhere it was available. So the people are talking about the great loss of that movie. But finally, I got that movie. I got it, one copy from Madurai Gandhi Museum. So when I moved to Delhi in National Gandhi Museum, I got 2 more copies. So we had 3 copies of A.K. Chettiar's movie. That was the first documentary of the world. That was a great historical significance. So I wanted to make it digitized in a good quality. So I was also wanting to do that. One day, casually, I have written a book. Studied a book. It was published in Tamil and it was also translated into English in the tracks of the Mahatma. So in the last chapter, it was the first. It was released in 1940, and second version released in 1947 in Delhi at Regal Theatre, and the third one was released in Washington in 1953. That is the third version. So I read that book. A.K. Chettiar has narrated all the stories, how he developed that movie and how he released that movie in Washington. And in one paragraph, I read that it was in Washington DuPont Theater. The theater was full by 8:50 p.m. President Eisenhower, his wife, and their camp arrived at 8:55 p.m. The manager of the theater led the president and his wife in. The Indian ambassador, Mehta, and his daughter, Aparna, welcomed the presidential couple. Aparna presented the first lady a beautiful bouquet. So I read this paragraph. It struck me because I didn't know many things about Aparna Basu at that time. So immediately I called her. That, Madam, your father was the ambassador in America. He said, yes, Mehta, my father, he was the ambassador. Oh, you are Aparna. At that time you were there. Yes, I studied there. Then I read that passage. Yes, I was there. I was present at that bouquet. Then I said, it is very historical movie. Yes, I know. I have seen that movie. Now it was lost, but we have retraced that copy. It is available with our museum. Is it really? She was so happy. And she said, I have a photograph of that particular film show. I was also thrilled to see that photograph. So I went there. Immediately I went there to her house and I discussed, I showed this book. And immediately she said, at any cost, you can reproduce this A.K. Chettiar movie. Even whether it is Gandhian or not, I don't know. But immediately she said, even without consulting our governing body, you take it and do it. Then we will go to the governing body and get it. That is the greatness of Aparna Didi. If she rejected that idea, now that historical document may not be available for the public. Now it is available in Hindi, in Tamil, in English, in everywhere. And we have distributed thousands of copies all over India. Even all the embassies of India, they have the copy of that historical movie. Therefore, the working together with Aparna Didi is always encouraging and always giving energy to our life. And very few people like Aparna Basu is there, though they are so intellectual, they are concentrated on more on relationship. AIWC, you know better, because for her, there are two more houses. One is their own family, and another house is AIWC, and another house is our National Gandhi Museum. We are not only missing Aparna Basu, we are also missing AIWC. Whenever we have a program, she always calls people from AIWC, and we are missing you all. So whenever we have a program, that is the legacy of Aparna Basu. We have to work together. We have to come together to take the message of Gandhi to the people. Thank you. You have invited me for this great day, and I thank all members of the AIWC and the family of Aparna Basu, especially Anuradha. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Namaskar.
Give a copy of film to AIWC also, Anna.
Yes.
You have distributed hundreds of copies. Give one to AIWC so that we can see it.
Yes.
That's such a useful suggestion. We'll definitely grab one. Thank you so much, sir. And I totally agree that the true homage is to carry forward the legacy of these great women. And with these words, we thank you so much. And with these words, I would like to welcome Dr. Basu, Anuradha. We are there. It's so nice to see you, sir. This is Yutika. We are really pleased you are here. Thank you for being with us. Thank you. Everyone is so happy to see you. So now we proceed with the program. I think we can also see Priya around. Priya was there from the East Coast. No, it must be night or early morning there, right? So we proceed with the program. The next speaker is Dr. Asha Deshpande, a very senior AIWC member. She's also joined from abroad, ma'am. You are from USA. You have joined. And Dr. Asha Deshpande is currently member in charge socio-economic programs at AIWC. She's going to speak on Dr. Aparna Basu, her reflections. Dr. Aparna Basu, a pleasing personality. Over to you, Dr. Asha Deshpande.
Thank you very much. I have given my PPT to office, and Mrs. Balirao will present it.
Yeah. Here it is, Asha ji.
Yes.
You can see.
Yeah. Aparna ji is the present personality. These are the pictures of 75, that is Platinum Jubilee, and she was the president. And after finishing the program, she had given me the award for the function. And this is the function of this Anandji, which everybody has enjoyed. The next one. This is the passiva. Sheila ji already has presented this. I also was having some photos with this, maybe some different photos, and we had enjoyed this passiva conference. The next one. This is the passiva. And whatever the Sheila ji said, that we have performed that national anthem. Next. Dr. Aparna ji, as a president, Gomati ji, as a Secretary General, Sheila Kakade and myself, Asha Deshpande, attended the conference as delegates. We performed our national anthem in the conference. Next. This is the photo with the ambassador of Indian Embassy, Singapore. Sheila ji has already explained about this. We have taken the this flag from the embassy and we have returned to them. This first photo is the Goa's zonal meeting in Maharashtra, and the second was the half yearly in Bangalore, and we were sitting in the hall. Next. I have been introduced by Mrs. Shobhanatai in AIWC. Though I was new, Aparna ji gave me a chance of attending Millennium 2000 at New York and the Passiva Conference 2004. Once I had been in Delhi and a form from Asian Productivity Council, Japan came, and it was related to the training program on the strategic management of civil societies. She asked me to apply. I completed all the formalities and then sent all the necessary papers, write-up and on the topic, etc. And it was a proud moment to me to let you know that from India, 2 persons were selected and one of them was myself. Next. Dr. Aparna ji was a friend and philosopher. This course was was at Indonesia for a week and was a very good training program. Particularly, I remember that she was always encouraging me and Sheila and boosting us to work in Delhi office. Next. When she fell down and was in a wheelchair, myself and Shivani Mehta went and met her in her house. She was always encouraging us. Nowadays, it is very rare to see such person of motherly nature. We miss her a lot. Asha Deshpande. One thing I just wanted to tell you again, because it was missing in here. I think Shobha is not there, but I also remember that Aparna ji has written the book on Kasturba ji, which was published in Pune University, because Pune University is having a chair for Gandhian Study Center. So there we have published that book of Kasturba ji, and it was a great function. The chancellor was also there, and we enjoyed that. Whenever we were having, I just wanted to say two things about her. That is how she is friendly with us. That when she wears the sari, but she never pin up it. So we always feel that Aparna ji's pallu was always going down, and we always feel that Aparna ji, your pallu is going down. Aparna ji, your pallu is going down, and we used to pin up. And she never felt it that though we were so junior and we were telling like this. And whenever we were having the informal talking, informal something, then we always say that Aparna ji, you are the absent-minded professor she was always laughing and she enjoyed the things. So I wanted to say something about her. I really felt it very much, and I really work with her very much, and I feel that's really she is a very, very good person. Thank you very much for giving me such uh, uh, thing to say something about her. And because of her, because of me, I felt very much. That's why I have presented myself from here in USA. It is at 6 o'clock in the morning, but since I am fond of her, and that's why I am here. Thank you very much to AIWC and all officers and all things. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Asha Deshpande. See, such true, from the heart, these tributes are coming from the heart, as we can see. So such endearing personality she was. We all know that. Now this is family time. So we have the family with us right in front of us on the screen. We can see Sir, Dr. Prahlad Basu. Namaskar to you, sir. Namaskar. We are so happy to see you there. Anuradha, the elder daughter, Mr. Anuradha Basu, and the younger daughter, of course, Priya. Priya, you are also there. Thank you for joining from New York, from Washington. You are on the East Coast, and it's very early morning there. With all the, you've taken so much trouble to be with us. I'm sure you're also liking it, like us. So we now I think I'll hand this over to Anuradha. She has got a PPT. Anuradha Basu is also teaching in California. She's a professor of business at San Jose State University in California. And we can see Tara, her daughter, with her. You're also going to speak something, right? About your grandma.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, just give me 1 second to set this.
So we are glad you are here in India. Otherwise, all the trouble, like Priya, you would be waking up. In San Jose, I think it's 4 o'clock at night. So that would have been troublesome.
Yes, that's right. Yes. So now we are just trying to see whether we can show.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, just wanted to say that all the reminiscences, all the tributes were really touching.
They are all straight coming from the heart. Such a great personality she was.
Looks like we may not be able to share.
You have been made, maybe you can. You have to try. This is on the screen, yeah. This is WebEx actually, so must be tricky.
Zoom we know, but WebEx.
Yeah, true. At the bottom of the screen, there are 2-3 tabs.
Yeah, but it's saying open.
I think we might have to quit and then come back, if that's okay.
Okay, it's okay. Meantime, shall I call Priya to speak? If you want to re-enter the meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So,
Priya.
Yeah, Priya. We are glad you are with us. Priya is head of the COVID-19 Task Force Secretariat of the World Bank Group, and I think you're already on job. We can see your backdrop. You're an early worker. Welcome, Priya, and over to you.
Thank you, and hello, everyone. And I just wanted to also add that the tributes have been so touching, AIWC was really, like a part of my mother's family. Through her, we heard so many stories, your successes, your struggles. There are so many names here as I see them that, I recognize the names because my mother talked about you. So really, even though some of you we've met, of course, Yutika ji, Beena ji, Sheila ji, Bulbul ji, we've met some of you, I've met some of you, and some of you I've not met, but I still feel like I know you because I've heard so much about you from my mother. So a lot of things were said about my mother. What did she teach me? And I think this was also mentioned. I think, her humility, her hard work, her work ethic, her curiosity, openness. These are some of the qualities that, I tried to emulate and that she taught me. And then there are some things that, I realize about my mother as I bring up my own daughter. And one of the things I was just reflecting the other day, my mother, my daughter wanted some help. And, I said, no, I'm really busy. I've got to finish this piece of work. I have a deadline. I can't help you now. I'll help you a bit later. And then I realized, I stopped for a moment and I realized my mother, she never said that. I can't remember any instance where, regardless of what she was doing, if I went to her and I said, I need her help with homework or I need help with something, she would drop everything else and she would help me. And I really don't know how she did it because she was so productive. She was so serious about her work, and yet she never made me feel that her work was more important than me. And she always made me feel that I was the most important person in her life. I mean, growing up, I remember feeling, definitely I felt I was more important to her than, my father. I felt I was more important to her than my sister. I don't know. I think she must have made my sister feel that way as well. So I don't know how she did it. So, these are some things that I have to say that I try. I don't think I'm as good at it as her, but I couldn't have wished for a better mother. And when I bring up my own daughter, I realize I'm not as good a mother as my mother was. So on the one hand, I admire her enormously for her intellect, for her her contribution to so many different fields, from academia to social work. And on the other hand, I equally admire her as the human being that she was and the mother that she was. So thank you, and it's very nice to be here with all of you, and lovely to see her memory living on. Thank you.
Thank you, Priya. Thank you. Such a lovely tribute that was, and how you remember your mother, that everyone.
Yutika?
Yeah.
Yutika, I would just
Asha
like
ji.
to say a few words. Priya
Can
talking
we?
about, I'm Asha Gambhir.
Yeah, can we do
Priya
it later?
talking about how important she was to her mother. I remember once when Aparna ji came to the office and she accidentally locked up Priya in the car. And how frantic she was. It was a Maruti. And she kept knocking on the window and teaching her how to roll down the window. And Priya was, I don't know how old she was, and how frantic Aparna got. It took her quite a while by the time Priya could figure out how to roll down the window. That was quite an experience. And all of us were standing outside. Priya must have got so scared looking at so many people standing outside, and she locked in the car.
Oh
That
my
was,
God, that is
but
something.
of
Do you
course, I
remember?
don't think Priya would remember such an incident.
She must have been very young. Yeah.
Yeah, she was very young, very young.
Do you remember, Priya? No, you don't.
Asha ji, when what you just said reminded me of one other thing, one other example of how my mother would drop everything to help me, and this was related to AIWC. So a few years ago, I was in Delhi with my daughter, and I went to the Imperial Hotel to get my hair done, and it was pouring with rain, and my mother was in a meeting at AIWC, and at the Imperial Hotel, for some reason, I didn't have any cash, and my credit card wouldn't work. And so I needed to go to Bank of India in Khan Market and get some money. So I'm calling my mother. I'm calling my mother. She's in this important meeting at AIWC. Immediately, she dropped everything. She called, she didn't leave the meeting, but she called the branch manager of Bank of India, telling him, trying to arrange for me to be able to get the money. So just an example, I don't know, her multitasking skills were enormous.
Yeah, I can quite believe, and that is what Aparna ji was. Spontaneous, and she would get so hassled if something just surprised her, but she would see to it that it was done. Though she may have got very hassled, but she would see to it, see it through, and see that it got done.
And the
Very
family
loving
values,
personality.
if I can add, Asha, she always taught me and everyone family values. That's one thing. Anyway, let's go over to the other family members. Thank you, Priya. That was amazing. Yeah. Anuradha Basu is with us.
Now we can share these slides that Tara has helped me put together. I'll go over them really quickly because, well, I'll try. This is slideshow.
Can you see that in the big screen?
Yeah, yeah. You can see it.
Where has it gone? Yeah, now. Perfect.
Can you see it?
Yes.
So, yeah, so just this is a picture that I found in my mother's papers. And as you can see, it's a time that she was the president of AIWC. And, you know, this is how all of you know her mostly. Of course, Yutika was her student, but this is with one of her dear friends, Amartya Sen and Devaki Jain at a seminar. And so this was the outside, you know, persona that you saw. One thing I have to say that before ever going to AIWC, Mummy would always wear a nice sari. She was very particular about how she dressed because she said all the ladies over there will comment if I'm nicely dressed and also comment if I'm not wearing my sari properly. So that was very important to her to make sure that she looked good before going to AIWC. That's Amartya Sen. And so this is just a little bit about her early life and background, and Raksha ji already covered it, so I'll go over real quickly. But this is again a picture I found of her grandmother, who Lady Vidya Gauri Nilkant, who used to be president of AIWC in, I think, 1933, around then. And so she was the first graduate of Bombay University, first woman graduate of Bombay University. And so she really inspired, you know, my mother's family to value education and the education of women. And although, of course, my mother was the first, I believe, in her family to take up a career and, you know, become a professor. And then this is a picture of her father's family. And her grandfather, Sir Lalubhai Samardas, was from Bhavnagar, and he helped to set up a lot of you know, the Life Insurance Corporation of India and a number of other entities, and also into social work. And yeah, so that was that's him. And then this is my grandfather and my mother with her, the youngest, with her two elder sisters, grandfather, grandmother, and this is when she was based in Calcutta. And that's how she learned Bengali, because she grew up in Calcutta and her Bengali was perfect, as one of you commented already, I think Dr. Mohanty. And so this is again a teenage picture of my mother, maybe around the time that she went to see, probably a little after 1947, when she heard the famous speech by Nehru, and which she never really told us about till much later. So she never used to brag and, you know, show off about these things. So she was, you know, very humble and modest. This is a picture of my mom with her sisters and a cousin. And then this is another picture I found, which is from September 1952, when my mother was like not yet 21, and they landed in New York on their way to Washington, D.C., when my grandfather became ambassador to India's ambassador to the US. You can see he's looking so happy, and with my grandmother and one of my mother's elder sisters. And this was when we once asked her, what was your happiest time? Okay, Mommy, what was the happiest time? We thought she was going to say maybe when she met my father, or maybe when she became a mother, which was very important to her. But actually, she said her time in Washington. The year she spent in Washington was truly memorable. And this is just, again, already alluded to, that, you know, she met all these famous people, and one of them was President Eisenhower, and, you know, these are the flowers that she's giving. And so that was probably she said, her happiest time. And then at Cambridge, she met my dad, my Baba, and then she got married to him. And then she was really amazing in terms of being, so when she got married, she was 100% vegetarian. And in Cambridge, she never had any meat or fish or anything. But, Bengalis can't live without meat and fish. And so she would not only, she would go and buy it. I remember once going with her to buy meat or something, and I decided I cannot eat this meat again. So, but she did it without ever complaining. Again, I never heard her complain about, the fact that this was important, this was something. She just took it in her stride and just, got on with it. And they, of course, visited many, many places together. And this is a picture of their 59th wedding anniversary. Unfortunately, she passed away. This is from 2018. So she could not live to for the 60th anniversary that we had hoped to celebrate. And then as a mother, well, this is just one my most vivid memory when I was thinking back was in 1964 when my mother went to do her PhD in Cambridge. And guess what? She took me along. And she took along Rajamma, Nanny as well. But what happened is that I was not happy about being taken to school by Nanny because, I don't know, I just wanted her to take me, because all other children were picked up by taken and dropped and picked up by the parents. So I said that you have to do that. And, she agreed. She could have easily said no, but like she came along. So that was again what she tended to be like. And a little older, when after Priya was born, then I said that this is in Delhi. I said that I want to learn the piano. And she said, okay, she enrolled me into Delhi School of Music. Then I said, I want to learn singing from Dipali Nag Chaudhary. She said, okay. And she would take me to these, classes. And, I never asked, it never even occurred to me, what did she do? Like she dropped me there, then what did she do? Did she sit in the car? Did she come home and come back? She never once made me feel that I was giving her trouble, And just what Priya said, we had not compared what we were going to say. But again, it never even occurred to me because she never said that I was being, put out. And she's the one driving me to school and then driving me to these extra classes. And she just did it without, without ever saying anything, So this is a bit later when I got married. And then as a grandmother, again, she was amazing. She came to, before Nikhil, my son was born, she came to Oxford, and then she was there for 4 months with me. And in fact, I don't know what I would have done without her. So after that, 4 months later, I was back over here in Delhi to be with her because I couldn't cope without her. And I remember telling her that, I don't know, it's so tough having children and I don't know how to manage. She said, don't worry. The first year is tough. After that, everything is, becomes easy. And she was right. And then so many times she came to be with the children when we used to go away abroad for short trips, my husband and I. Not once did she complain. She said, I will be there. I said, my husband's won some tickets on Concorde to go to New York. And but how to go? Tara is only not even one. She said, I'll come. I'll be there. You can't just waste those tickets. You got to go. So that's what she was like, never making me feel guilty that I was imposing on her. I really don't know where she got time to do all her writing, because as children, I think she said mostly she did it after we grew up. And this is just the family. And one of the things that she definitely emphasized and inculcated in us was the importance of education, and if I were to say one thing that I was scared of was if I did badly in an exam, because before exams, she would say, okay, tomorrow's your exam. You're waking up at 6 o'clock and you're going to prepare before the exam. And then later on, if I did badly, it was not so much like I have done badly, but that, oh no, what will mommy say if I have not got a good grade in the exam? So anyways, so that was her professor part, I suppose. And these are just some pictures of, her speaking at one of her books and the seminar that exhibition she had at IIC. And I should move on. Yeah, this is Ram Guha. and he released one of her books, the one on the Sarabhais, and I'll just move on because we run out of time. But these are many, many books that she wrote, and I really don't know how she was so productive. And she just went ahead and just went and wrote it, and she never complained. And she said to me sometimes that, "Oof, you can't get to write because you're always saying that trying to be too much of a perfectionist. You have to just go and do it." And I just hope I can live up to that myself. So thank you so much. And this is the end of the presentation here. And it feels so good to be able to share all these memories with everyone here.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Anuradha. I just could not suppress laughing at times. Everything, is coming back because I was also so close to her while doing my PhD. And I would, totally relate with what you were saying most of the time. Do this, do that, don't do, and never imposing anything on anyone, not just the family, not just the children, even on the students. She was so light-hearted and playful, and with that that playfulness, she would make us work. And I don't know how I finished my PhD because I was the same way like you. I had a small daughter, this, that. Maybe I'll talk about that later, but let's have Tara, you would like to speak something? Tara Basu Trivedi, she's an engineer who's currently an MBA student at Harvard Business School. Welcome, Tara. You're going to talk about your grandma.
Yeah, thank you. Let me just get set up here.
Yeah.
Okay, so since her other grandchildren couldn't make it today, they're all in different time zones, I thought I'd speak on behalf of my brother Nikhil and my cousin Mimi about our experiences of Tima as a grandmother. So because it's a little strange, I want to explain. We call our grandmother Tima because when my brother, my older brother, was young, he couldn't say Didima, which is what he should have called Tima. But Tima was very willing to, switch around the names, and so Tima became our term of endearment for her. Though for a brief period, I'm told that when my brother was a very young kid, my mom left him with Tima for a while.
No, mommy took him to India.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Tima took him to India, and when mom came back to India, Nikhil had taken to calling Tima mum and calling mum Anu Mama, which she wouldn't admit, but Tima was quite happy about because we all felt, we didn't have to say it, but we all felt very, very close to her. We were lucky enough to spend long periods of time with Tima growing up in a house in England or on vacations around the globe, and even in this house in Delhi. In fact, we're sitting right now in Tima's room together, which feels quite special. So just quickly, I want to share some lessons I've learned from Tima and reflections on her life. So anyone who knew Tima knew she was Superwoman, right? As we've heard today, she found a way to be everything for everyone. And the way that she laughed through it all made it look effortless. In fact, I grew up thinking that all adults were as selfless, as capable, as efficient, intelligent, and big-hearted as her. She was also engaged always. I remember in college, for example, the two of us would FaceTime on Saturdays, and she would pepper me with questions about things that I've been doing in school, about a photo that she might have seen of me on Facebook. And in between our calls, she'd email me with articles that she thought would be of interest, or share a photo from her latest social event with all of you, perhaps. Or ask for my opinion on a snippet from her latest draft. I want to share one anecdote from an interaction with Tima that I didn't think much of at the time, but that I've thought about a lot in the years since. So in high school, I was given a project to interview an elder on their life's purpose. I chose to interview Tima. As Priyamasi said, Tima was never one to say no, and so she willingly obliged me. She talked about her thirst for knowledge, saying, quote, "If I stop learning, I stop growing," which was a sentiment that I could relate to as a serious student and an avid reader and an avid reader and learner myself. But she also talked about things that I didn't quite understand at the time, like how she shared Gandhiji's belief that, quote, my life is my message, or how as she aged, maintaining peace of mind and harmony with others became most important to her. And as a restless teenager, honestly, at the time, I didn't understand how profound this insight was. Sometimes I feel frustrated that I was too young to appreciate in the moment how lucky and privileged I was to have grown up in Dhima's presence. But when I feel that way, I remember the two gifts that Dhima continues to provide us all. Number one, her writings, which teach us important lessons from history. And number two, her life as her message and her example. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We can see some glimpses of Professor Aparna Basu in you. Your Dhima, through you, I can already see that, coming from you. That was so nice. Thank you, Tara. That was so nice. Everyone paying their respects and homage and remembering. I think now we can open the floor for our members here. Mrs. Veena Kohli, Mrs. Veena Jain, our patron, and Mrs. Veena Kohli. Then they would like to speak about her. Mrs.
If there is time, if I can speak for 2 minutes, Kalyani here.
Sure, yeah, sure. After Mrs. Veena Kohli. Sure, Kalyani.
Should I speak or Veena ji will speak?
I think Mrs. Veena Jain wants to say. Then you can say, speak, Mrs. Kohli.
I'll not say much, Mrs. Kohli. You work with her, and I also work with her. But I want to say one or two things, not more. Shall I say or Kalyani?
Yeah. नहीं आप बोलिए ना, Mrs. Veena Jain.
अच्छा. So I want to say she was wonderful person and very intelligent and very sharp mind, and I always admired her a lot. And one or two incident I would like to say. One thing I'll say, when she was the secretary, she didn't contribute much to AIWC. Mrs. Rana did a lot. But after that, when she got retired, and she worked like a real social worker. Otherwise, she was an educationist. Magar she turned her attitude and everything towards social work. She was true social worker, to encourage member and to help them to go ahead, and very polite and very nice, everything. One incident I would like to share here. Once I organized a very big program with the election commissioner session. If I'm not pronouncing his name properly, I'm sorry for that.
That's the name, yeah.
Session. So he was very popular those days. So I organized a very big meeting with 1,000 people, middle class or upper middle class. And somebody, I don't know who, but they stopped him not to come. And they said that Veena Jain can't organize anything for you. So I went to AIWC and I met Mrs. Basu, and I said, Mrs. Basu, I'm in great trouble. I will lose everything if Mr. Session will not come. So many people are coming there, and what to do. But she was such a nice lady, I must say. She said, you need not worry, the session will come. And she took the help from her husband. Mr. Basu is sitting here. And Mr. Basu talked to Mr. Session, and he said, okay, when you are saying, then I will go. And Mrs. Basu, Aparna Basu, came with Session कि वो दोबारा से इधर उधर ना चले जाए. So all the way she came, and she said, Veena, now he's here, and don't worry. You will not lose your money, whatever you worked hard and collected so many people. And like this day, I went with her, we both went to South Africa, and we had taken that Gandhiji's exhibition. So all together, Mrs. Kalavati Tripathi and Mrs. Rana Day also was there, but they were either, but we both all the day used to sit in that stall, and we worked very hard, and many things I can say, and only because Mrs. Kohli will share more, but I can also share many things, but the time is very less, and you gave me the opportunity to work 2-3 minutes. That's I thought I will like, but I'm still I'm very fond of Dr. Aparna Basu, and very social, very nice. I have never seen in my life such a person. She never mentioned where she belongs to, and she never mentioned how मतलब वो क्या पढ़ी लिखी है या क्या है. Never. Very great thing. It is not easy to see all this quality in one person. Very sharp, very good, very nice person.
True.
Thank you very much to listen to me properly.
Thank you, Veena ji. Thank you. That was such a touching, lovely tribute. Thank you. Mrs. Veena Kohli, you would like to say something?
Yeah. Hello. Hello, Anuradha. Hello, Dr. Basu. Hi, Priya. Nice to see you all. It brings back so many memories and all those lovely days and years we spent together with Dr. Basu. Met you. I've heard so much about her, and every word was so interesting. And I really enjoyed everything I heard about Aparna ji. I feel there has been no parallel to her as a president of AIWC. Her devotion to AIWC was total. And she was committed to the cause of women's empowerment. She conducted herself with wisdom, with great tact and knowledge. Being a historian and a woman of high intellect, she knew the plight of the Indian women and spent her entire time writing for their welfare. She was a very good human being who was kind and helpful to all. She worked tirelessly, but always with a sense of humor. Hers was always the last word at any controversy, as she always took a balanced and a compassionate stand. AIWC mattered most to her. Even when AIWC was imposed wrongly, Binaji would know this, we were imposed wrongly for a penalty of lakhs of rupees. She preferred to take the Gandhian view and make the payment rather than get the organization into a controversy or take the risk of AIWC getting a bad reputation. So this was her love for AIWC. As for me, she was my role model. And for me, she was a perfect woman and one who always encouraged and gave energy to me when I would like, and a woman whom I would always like to emulate. At least maybe some aspect of her may not be possible to emulate her because she was one of her own kind, but maybe some part, I would like to copy. That was always my desire. My association with her started when she gave me the editorship of Roshni. She started as editor of Roshni in the 90s. She encouraged me throughout in a very kind and subtle manner. And I learned a lot from her. She sent me to travel abroad, represent AIWC at various meetings. And I learned the most when she was the president and I was elected treasurer. It was a real pleasure and a great experience working with her. How she conducted herself as a president with so much tact, with care, with compassion, firmness, and kindness. How she carried all members together to come as one voice. That was a great quality she had. And how she encouraged her Secretary General and me, her treasurer, to travel with her to various cities, both in India and abroad. She was extremely broad-minded, liberal, and a true Democrat in all her dealings. Later, as patron, she was always there to give us her guidance and advice. Often I consulted her on various issues, and she and I would discuss as her current interests were exhibitions, photographic exhibitions, and her writings at the Gandhi Museum. It was a pleasure to work with her. I also worked with her at the AIWC, which was the Committee for the Illiteracy of Women. For a number of years, we worked together and we had a very smooth time, no problem at all. When we traveled, it was great fun. Traveling with her was great fun. She would not only involve us in all the AIWC activities, she would take us to visit museum, parks, and see films. She was very fond of films, and so was we all. And we saw a lot of films together. And even later, after she became patron, there were a couple of films we saw together. Her interests were varied, and she enjoyed every moment and made sure that we also enjoyed it with her. A wonderful human being she was. The only wrong thing she did was to die and leave us. We continue to miss her very much, but I feel grateful that she was a part of my life and that I knew her. Thank you so much. I could go on and on talking about her, but I think so much time has gone by. Thank you very much, and lovely to see all of you.
Thank you, Veena. Thank you. Thank you. Now I think I would invite Mrs. Manjula Ghosh was there. She said she would speak. And Kalyani. 2 minutes each, please. We are already running out. Yeah.
Yutika, if you have some time, I would also like to just say a few words.
Oh, I know it's going to be endless. Yeah. We can all keep on sitting here. But let's, okay. This is Meenakshi. Yeah.
Yeah, Meenakshi.
Okay, so first Mrs. Manjula Ghosh and then Kalyani and then Meenakshi. 1 minute each, I think. Sorry about that.
Shall I start?
Yes, please, Manjula.
Thank you, Sheila ji and Jutika and all of you to give me this opportunity to say a few words. I was zonal organizer of AIWC Northeast Zone when Dr. Aparna Basu was president of AIWC. Thank you, Raksha Shukla, for showing the picture. She was quite strict and maintained discipline in conferences. If any of you remember Amritsar Conference. Second edition of her book, Women's Struggle, was launched at Calcutta Raj Bhavan by the then governor, Dr. Gopal Krishna Gandhi. Ashokadi, our patron Ashoka Gupta, and Dr. Bharati Roy was present. That was a great occasion for us. Aparna was a very friendly and helpful person. I kept in contact with her almost at the end. But the news of her passing away was a great shock to all of us. Actually, I'm related to Aparna Basu. Aparna Basu's husband, Prahlad Basu, is my sister-in-law's brother. Actually, Anuradha, if she remembers, she stayed in my brother and sister-in-law's house for some time when she did IIM Joka. She was in IIM Joka. She stayed with, you remember Olaf Pishamashai?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm Olaf Pishamashai's sister. So
Wow.
I'm a bit related to her. Thank you
Okay.
very much, Jessica and Sheila ji, for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Manjula ji. That's a revelation for even Anuradha. I think she's agreeing there. Thank you. And you're the first one who's saying she's strict. Some part of it I agree because she makes
Actually, by looking at Anuradha, I thought of saying this last bit.
No, it is true. But she meant business and she was cool also about it. That's the best part. I haven't seen that combination anywhere. Now, anyway, Kalyani, over to you. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Yutika. I won't take much time. I just wanted to say my first introduction with Aparna, I used to call her Aparna. My first introduction with her was, she sort of took me on. I had just joined AIWC and Kalavati Tripathi ji was president, and I had come back from Shahadra. I was looking after Shahadra. So I think Lalita ji introduced me. And so Aparna asked me, oh, you are a young person. That time I was a lot more younger. So she said, oh, young person, from where you are? And also she inquired, and I said, I am from Calcutta. Immediate connection. Oh, so you speak Bengali? I said, yes. Oh, so we have something in common. We speak Bengali by choice. I speak because of my husband, and you speak because you are from Calcutta. And surprisingly, the same way she connected with my daughter. I had taken my daughter one day to office. I had some work, and I put her in. She was sitting in the library. I think that time she was in class 10th or something. And so she was sitting in library. Aparna ji went up and for doing something, and she saw her there, and then she was talking to her. Immediate connection. What type of book do you like to read? So my daughter said Agatha Christie. There it goes. And immediately she started. Aparna and my daughter Nisha had, I think, an hour's conversation based on all the type of Agatha Christie's book. That was Aparna. And I think, I echo all the thoughts which everybody has said. She gave a lot of encouragement to all of us. I was first made member in charge when she became president. I was made member in charge of youth. And I did one program of conducting self-defense training for physically challenged person. And that sort of said Aparna, said, oh, you can do anything. And if Kuljit and Ashmi, they're all there, we all did a play because of Aparna. She said, let's do something different on the Women's Day celebration. So my daughter wrote a play about cloning. Another woman, it was based on female feticides, that number of female is reducing, and then you have to do the cloning, I think probably in future. So this was the concept, and it was all because of Aparnaji's encouragement. We all did this play. I think Bulbul, Asha, Kuljit, and Bhavani, there were many other members, Maithili ji, all of us did this play in the
I
library.
still got that photograph.
So she was so thrilled with this, so that was the type of encouragement she gave, and I think I have carried forward that legacy all. And I'm also happy that I think I am one of the last members who met her before she passed away. When she was in hospital, Rakesh ji, I was the Secretary General there. So Rakesh ji and me, we went to see her. And there again, she says, I'm feeling so bored. I don't know when they are going to discharge me. She was doing something on the phone at that time. And she said, I'm feeling so bored. I don't know when they are going to, discharge me. Unfortunately, I think just 4 days afterwards, we heard the news about her passing away. So I remember, I have a lot of fond memories of her. I have a lot of encouragement I have received from her. A great soul, always will remember her. Thank you so much. And unfortunately, Anuradha and Priya, I met you at the wrong time. I think we met during her, when we did the condolence meeting for her. Nice knowing you all. Thank you so much for giving me the chance. Thank you, Yutika.
Thank you, Kalyani. Thank you. That was
Yutika,
nice
Kalyani,
and
let
short
me
and
add
sweet.
one line. Yutika, one line I'll add to what Kalyani said. She was the one who introduced the village adoption program.
Yeah.
And it was
So,
during her
Sadrana?
tenure.
You're talking of Sadrana? Sadrana?
Yeah,
The
the village
Sadrana,
adopted.
yeah.
Achha,
And
anyway, I think
we all
let's
went around looking for the village. And
let's
that's
move
how
on
we
with
adopted Sadrana.
yeah. I know. Let's move on with Meenakshi, and then we'll go over to Padmaji.
Yeah.
First, Meenakshi.
Yeah,
Meenakshi,
thanks, Yutika ji, for giving me this opportunity. I'll just share one line, not much. I consider myself fortunate that I got an opportunity to get the feel of Dr. Basu's warm aura. She was the one to suggest book club meeting for my book, and that was the last when I met her. She wanted me to work with her for some projects, but the cruel destiny snatched her from us. So I would just like to end with my Shraddhanjali. I would like to say Rennie Wood's words: "Your life was a blessing, your memory a treasure. You are loved beyond words, and you are missed beyond measure." Thank you so much.
That was such a befitting line. Thank you, Meenakshi. That was so sweet. I still remember that book club. I said, "Who's Meenakshi?" In fact, I was a little down. No, do it. Yutika, just call her. Since I was looking after the book club at that time. No, then, and we were glad we met you and we brought you. Okay, Padmaji, you wanted to.
Thank you, Yutika. I'll be very short. I very fondly remember my days working in Shadra with Dr. Aparna Basu, because I was still shuttling between Vienna and India, but I got a project from United Nations Food and Agricultural Organization, and I told Aparna ji, I have already got this project. We can do it through AIWC, but I'm still, I can't spend the entire time in India. And she said, don't worry, I will hold the flag for you when you're away. And that's what she did. Together, we really carried through this thing. And so many people still remember the Shadra work. And I really still remember her, all the support that she gave. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Padmaji. I think the Shadra work is again revived and Mathili ji.
Yutika, give me half a minute.
Yeah, sure.
I thought I control myself, but I can't resist myself, When I joined AIWC, she was the president at that time. She was such a good motivator and she could read your mind also. So in the very beginning, she gave me certain files and she said, you go through these files and prepare a report. That's how I was introduced to the history of AIWC. Then in December itself, there was annual meeting in Amritsar. I was not supposed to join, but she read my face and she said, Kuljit, you want to come and attend the conference? I said, yes. She said, the theme is girl child. Prepare something on girl child and you can attend it. So to my good fortune, that time, India Today, they had a special issue on girl child. I borrowed certain things from that and I prepared a quiz for that. She was so glad for that. No? And then I was retired from railways, but she used to say, you look so young. You took voluntary retirement. I used to tell her, no, Aparna ji, I have retired. No. Whosoever will come, she'll say she has taken voluntary retirement because she wanted to work with AIWC. Then in January, when Dr. Baba was to become the president, again she said, Kuljit, you want to come to Pondicherry? I said, yes, I would love to. Okay, prepare something to speak over there on women. And that's how I was introduced to the issues of women. I should be thankful to her. She showed me the way. And no comparison, such a wonderful person, whatever tribute to be paid, those are all so genuine today. And we really miss her a lot. In every meeting, we miss her. And Anuradha and we are so lucky to get such a mom. Thank you so much, Yutika, for giving me time.
Yutika, 2 lines.
Yeah, I know this is not going to end and I wish it doesn't end.
Just 2
it's
lines.
not in my hands. Okay, go ahead, Chandraprabhaji.
Aparna Di was basically an academic. And she was a great teacher, great professor, and great historian. But when she came to AIWC, she showed her administrative side. And her administration was very soft. She was one president who could delegate things so easily. She was not at all controlling. She will say, we will go to ask her something, she will say, लिख दो कुछ, लिख दो, तुम लिखो, तुम कर सकते हो. And this is how she trained hundreds of, members of AIWC to rise up to their own potential. Because she had trust in them. She trusted, she gave a free hand, she believed in them, and that belief made those members greater than what they were. Thank you so much. She was amazing as a head of the department, as a head of AIWC, and I'm sure in so many. And I really want to congratulate both the three speakers of the family. They showed us a very, very new and rare and inimitable side of Aparna Basu, the mother who never refused. We all keep refusing. Abhi nahi kar sakte, abhi nahi hoga. We all did it. But to hear that someone never did it is something like an eye opener to all of us. But it is too late now, learning that. Anyway, thank you. You all three were very good actually. And you enriched the, meeting on Aparna Basu by your experiences, which were personal and which were so moving also. Thank you, Yutika, for giving me.
Thank you, Chandraprabhaji. Anyone else who would like to pay their respects or to say something about Professor Basu? I think then we take permission from the office to end the program. And before ending, 2 lines. I also, I feel privileged because I was the one who was closest. I think I was counting, I knew her for past 40 years now. When I was a BA, not BA, MA student, then MPhil and PhD, and then MA. She literally pulled me into AIWC. I still remember. Okay, your PhD. Okay, you have the sources here. I could just see that how it is going. She would tell me, okay, come to that library, and that's how I started going to MCM library. I would say, ma'am, all this is in such a bad shape. What's happening? Okay, do something about it. Then I realized, oh my God, now I have to do this. So we started preserving, and why I got into it and why I started preserving, getting this project. She helped me get the project from the Ministry of Culture, and then I went to archives and took their advice, and then she kept on prodding me. Yutika, ab kya ho raha hai? Ab kahan tak? क्या कर रहे हो तुम उसके बारे में? She was so keen to get this documents preserved at the AIWC, and that's why she thought, yeah, she's a good candidate and this because I knew her at different levels. That's what I to convey as a teacher, as a guide, as a as a colleague. When I started teaching, she was a colleague, and then in AIWC as a co-worker. She made me the member in charge of library. Afterwards, of course, she along with Mrs. Veena Jain. I still remember they were both sitting in the office, and Mrs. Veena Jain gave me the UWA form. Yutika ban jao member. I looked at Professor Basu, and then I looked at and I said, "Ye kya ho raha hai yahan?" So I feel so good. I'm so blessed to have this company in AIWC, and so good. I wish such things never end. This program never ends, and I'm sure more people have more to say. But this has to end like everything. And I'm thankful. So let's have a formal vote of thanks. Sheila ji, anyone else? So for the vote of thanks, I would like to invite Mrs. Supriya Bhalerao, Joint Secretary IWC, who's been waiting patiently. Supriya, over to you.
Thank you, Yutika. This program actually I thought would never end, and it was so interesting. This is Supriya Bhalerao, the Joint Secretary of AIWC, delivering the vote of thanks formally for this session. First, I thank Mrs. Sheila Kakade, the present president, for starting this interesting webinar series on our past presidents from year 2020. A great use of pandemic time indeed, and sitting at home, we all learned so much about our past presidents who have worked hard for this 95-year-old organization to bring it to the level that it is today. This is the 25th session on the 36th president of AIWC, Dr. Aparna Basu. I thank Mrs. Kuljit Kaur, our Secretary General, and Mrs. Rehana Begum, whose support is so valuable to us all throughout. I thank today's speakers. Thank you, Mrs. Raksha Shukla, the president of Noida branch, to give so much information about Dr. Aparna Basu through that PowerPoint presentation. I thank Urvashi Butalia for that interesting speech and telling us about Aparna ji, who she didn't know much, but about her literary work, through her literary work. And it was actually, she put it in a very nice words. I thank Dr. Bidyut Mohanty for her lovely words about her great friend. I also thank Mr. Anup Taneja for that effort of writing that nice piece. And thank you, Mr. Hochandani, for presenting it, as well as your own memories of Aparna ji. I thank Mrs. Tara Gandhi Bhattacharya, chairperson of National Gandhi Museum, for that wonderful speech from her heart, from her heart on Dr. Aparna Basu through a very nicely shot video. Thank you, Pratibha and Sheila ji, for interviewing her. I thank Mrs. Annamalai, Mr. Annamalai, the director of National Museum, for his passionate and respectful speech telling us about Aparna ji's nature, her functioning style, etc. I thank Dr. Asha Deshpande for making that PPT and presenting it all the way from America. Hers is the tribute right from her own heart. Now I thank profusely the family, Anuradha and Priya Basu, and also Tara, for planning to join us at the last moment. But it was very, very nice, and thank you so, so much for that. And it was very nice to see Dr. Basu also with you. I thank Tara Basu Trivedi, to share the fond memories of grandmother. Dr. Aparna ji must be feeling very proud of all of you from wherever she is, and she's maybe must be blessing you all. So thank you today for being with us, all of you. Then I have to thank all the people ladies who talked about Aparna ji from the bottom of their heart. Thank you, Beena ji, Veena Kohli ji, Asha Gambhir ji, Manjula Ghosh ji, Kalyani Raj, Padma Venkatraman ji, Kuljit ji, Meenakshi Kumar, Chandra Prabha ji, Yutika Mishra, and I myself am feeling, I'm a new entrant in AIWC, and I'm really feeling very sad that I didn't have much of interaction with her. And I wished I was there in the AIWC at that time when Aparna ji was functioning here and heading the organization. I formally thank our patrons now, Veena Jain ji, Veena Kohli ji, for being a support to this webinar series and being with us today. I thank all the vice presidents, all the zonal organizers and members in charge, and all of you to be present at this webinar and made this success. Thank you, Yutika, for your role. Today, your role is dual, that you are the moderator as well as Aparnaji's student. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is why I end my vote of thanks.
Thank you, Supriya. That was such a nice summing up of the whole.
Thank you all. Thank you very much.
We end the program.
Thank you all. Successful webinar.
Next time, next time we meet for the next episode on 17th June about Mrs. Manorma Baba.
Thank you, Sheila ji, Supriya ji, Jyotika ji. Madam, thank you. Badhiya program. So amazing program it was. Very interesting. Yes.
Thank you, Priya.
It was also very nice.
Thank
It was also very nice.
you.
Very interesting program. Thank you. Yes.
Anuradha, tell your son we missed him very much. He would have been the most eloquent speaker. He had written an article on Aparna ji. Aparna ji herself told.
Thank you.
He got
Thank you,
into
Anuradha.
Princeton. He got into Princeton because of her. In his sad essay, he wrote actually about Aparna Basu. That's true. Extraordinary women. She was laughingly telling me, I asked her, how did he get into Princeton? She said, oh, Chandra Prabha, so many essays. They have to write for every, university. And do you know, he wrote about me. was laughing. Tell him, please. That we
He's very sorry to miss. But
Yeah.
my father is very happy. He really enjoyed it.
Yeah, we are also happy to see.
Yeah.
Could he join today?
No,
Yeah,
Nikhil.
he's there.
He's
there.
Father
He
is here.
is just sitting. He is
Okay,
sitting.
yes. Dr. Basu is here. We missed Nikhil also. He would have spoken about his grandmother. I still feel that you can send a small video or his talk, and we will put it in our library archives.
Yeah, and Anu will need your PPT also for our archives.
Yeah, we require
That
your
you can
PPT
share.
also.
Yeah. Yeah, actually all this material. Yeah.
Hinaji
Yes.
also reminded me of how mummy insisted on going to see, I think it was English or something in her,
Yes.
And I was like, we can't do this. And she said, no, I have to see. I really want to see this movie. I'm so happy we went, in retrospect, but because of her, only because of her insistence,
Anu and Priya, I'd like to say that please keep in touch with the AIWC, become our members, become part of AIWC too, just as Aparna ji was. So we carry
Well said.
on the tradition, the family tradition. Do that, please.
Energy, yeah.
Yeah, please join us. Please join us.
Anyway, thank you so much. And
Thank you
thank
for
you so
being.
much, Sheila ji and Supriya ji and Yutika for doing a great job as moderators. Thank you so much to all of you for speaking.
We keep in touch, yeah.
Yeah.
Keep in touch. Keep in touch. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Thank you all.
Thank you
Bye.
all.
Bye. Thank you all. Bye.
Bye, Sheila. Bye.
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 Bye,
Bye, Sheila
Yutika.
ji.
Bye.
bye, everybody. Bye.
Bye.